speaking of people leaving, of making sure that you keep all your best assets on the team, Nebraska dropped some news. Matt Rule did, Coach Rule, the head coach at Nebraska, that they are looking to skip their senior or their spring game practice. OU's is 33 days away on March 6th, or begin spring practice March 6th, 33 days away. Nebraska's thinking about skipping their spring game, which is an interesting move. They had, by Coach Rule's account, they had 6 players contacted after the spring game with offers to transfer. Now, obviously, you can't transfer after windows close in the portal. You can unenroll from schools. We saw that with the Wisconsin player. I think Wisconsin player. I just
the
totally
player
went blank.
from last week.
Yeah, from last week. I just went totally blank. That talked about that. Just went to Miami. He unenrolled from his school and then re-enrolled in Miami and then joined the football team. So apparently, Rule was saying that they had issues with their better players putting film in the spring game and then getting tampered with after the spring game. So he's saying that we might just do a closed scrimmage, not let media or any of that in there, and then we'll be good enough. That'll be good enough for us. Now, do you really do that? I don't know. You do make money, especially if you're a school like Nebraska. You're needing that to be added, but the chances that they're going to, I don't know if they're really going to be a team that's not going to do the spring practice. Sorry, T distracted me with it still. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I'd actually sent that to Chad because I had sent him the link, and it has here, essentially, him saying, it really is because last year we were one of the more televised spring games, and I had dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute free, open, common market. I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. And I had sent it to him and said, wow, this is not even something that I had considered because, again, the portal's closed. So I just hadn't thought of it, but it makes so much sense because tampering does not exist anymore. There's no punishment for it. There's no integrity, essentially. So, yeah, I can understand where a coach would be like, nope, we're not going to have a spring game because if you open the spring game and don't televise it, that doesn't prevent other schools from taking someone like the guy from the Michigan scandal and going and watching the game and making their own film or picking out players anyways. And so it's like, what do you do? Like you mentioned, it's an opportunity to make money for your school, but at what cost potentially, especially if you would end up losing better players. Now, could that be a bit dramatic? Because it is a spring game at the end of the day, and it is a glorified scrimmage. So what really can you take away from somebody based on his spring game, if you will? Mm-hmm. But I can understand being like that, being protective, being like, no, because there's no punishment for tampering. There's no fine. There's nothing. Then why risk it? Mm-hmm. And I understand that too. There's a lot of money that goes into these players, and you just don't want to turn around and lose them.
Yes. I'm wondering I don't know how I would do it. I don't know. I mean, if not for needing money, I probably wouldn't even worry about a spring game, because then you would just be. I mean, I would still have the scrimmage, but like you're saying, I just wouldn't want to risk if that is happening, especially at a school like Nebraska that's had the struggles that they've had, and has a risk, especially with the guy like Raiola, who seems that he's pretty committed to the university. That would be the biggest loss for me. If I don't have to risk losing my quarterback, then I'm not as worried. Mm-hmm. But the depth there is probably not as deep as you're going to see at the more elite colleges, which is not. And then it's not going to be as the top end talent drop off to the first and second string is going to be more drastic because you don't have that depth. And so Rule, I mean, people were acting like it was crazy. I didn't think it was an insane idea at all. I just thought he was looking at, we're getting players poached or at least reached out to illegally. Nothing can be done about it. Speaking of other things being done, there's another issue that's annoying me. But there is I'm wondering, like, if you're OU and we're just looking strictly now, this obviously this hadn't even been floated out, but if you're looking at Oklahoma and you're worried about strictly just the perception and players being tampered with, is this something you think about? Is it something that you're like, well, why am I worried about? Why am I putting all these eyes on my team, letting people see the kind of athletes I have at certain positions, and then maybe being able to be reached out to illegally, which is happening all the time already? Or do I just not do that and let everyone guess about who's going to be out there and what kind of talent we have. Now, I don't know. Maybe you want to get the younger guys some experience in front of the fans a little bit. And you kind of just want to break up the monotony of just spring ball and get them in front of fans and energize them for the summer workout program. But
and I understand for fans, it's that little taste of football that you've already quickly come to miss, but still so far away. So it's an exciting day for many people. But, I mean, it's just another change, essentially. And I think that's why a lot of fans were kind of giving Rule some flack over it, is because it would be another change. Something else lost to NIL. Something else lost because of these changes. And so I can understand the frustrations, but I do understand that I'm investing in these kids. I don't want to show them to the world and then turn around and lose one because somebody was offered more than we can give or more than we are willing to give. And let's not act like there's probably not pettiness in the world. It's like, you know what? I don't like that guy. Let's go ahead and take this one. See if we can take that one. You know, if you have the extra money, why not?
You're 100% right.
I don't know. I know I just sent it to you thinking that I think I literally said this is a great topic to talk about because I hadn't even considered this. I hadn't even considered not having a spring game as a possibility. But when I think of it, like I really do understand it. I don't like it because I do enjoy the spring game when we can get to go, just because I miss the atmosphere and I'm just longing for it already come April, as many fans are. But it's just something else that changes and something else that has the potential to change, and who knows. And until there's a punishment for tampering, it's just going to continue to get worse, and there's going to continue to be loopholes and all the things.
Well, and spring games are always weird because you don't know whether to be excited or mad. You know, like if the offense does well, your defense is going to get raked, and then if vice versa. So it's one of those things where it's hard to.
Well, that's why I said you got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, whether or not some fans do that, but neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't think they're going to do anything with the spring. I think Oklahoma's going to be fine playing there. It is an interesting point of, you know, why are you putting your team in a position where they're going to get tampered with, or at least advertising more of the talent that maybe you're excited about that, you know, not all the country knows about. That's then going to be, you know, reached out to and maybe taken from you. So, by the way, speaking of things lost to NIL, there's a Wisconsin defensive back. Maybe that's why I was thinking of Wisconsin earlier. But Nizier Fourquarian, I don't even know how to say his name, Fourquarian, Fourqurean. He is a former Division II player that's now suing the NCAA for 2 more years of Division I eligibility because he says his NIL money. I just don't want sports to be a thing anymore. NIL is, I hate it. I think the JUCO argument's idiotic and stupid.
And that's as former JUCO athletes for both of us.
I think the Division II argument is bordering on, I don't know. I'm not going to make any bad jokes, but it's just, I don't know. Where does it end? And it's one of those things where I make fun of it because it's such a dumb idea, but they haven't lost anything. I don't think they've lost a lawsuit. A kid that brings the claim. At this point, I don't know if you can make a argument why the NCAA isn't just going to let someone play until they're 45. They have rules against it. Okay, they'll be struck down by a court until courts finally want to have a spine and tell kids
you can get as many degrees as you want.
Right. I mean, it's just, I really don't think people realize the just trash bag of bad things that are opened up whenever all this stuff started. It's just annoying. Anyway, I just had to mention that because we talked about the Pavia lawsuit.
No, it's annoying because life's not fair. It's not. You weren't good enough to go D1 and get your NIL money out of high school. Or maybe you were and you didn't get the looks. Tough noodles. That's just, I'm sorry. Like, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Chad did some time in JUCO but Chad did a year in JUCO. I did 2 years in JUCO. It just is what it is. We took the steps in junior college to better set ourselves up for the next level should we get an opportunity, because especially more than him. He could have chose football or chose some other path, but he decided he wanted to go JUCO to try to get better for golf. Not better for golf, but more golf opportunities. Not the point. I just was a 5'3" basketball player, so I had to prove that I even belonged on a court. And so, like, we chose those paths for us to better set ourselves up for the future. And so, tough noodles. We didn't get the scholarships we wanted, or we didn't get from the schools we wanted. That just is how it is. Like, the fact that you need to get 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could potentially get more years if you get medical red shirts. And then you can get more years if you redshirted out of, like, you could have kids in college, like you said, 10, 11 years, potentially. And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, everyone was making fun of that Miami tight end. That's going to be like a normal thing now, where he's like 9 years into college.
No, Cam Rising got an 8th year of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Do we have a PhD by now?
He could. That's crazy.
And like, life isn't fair.
Well,
Sorry. Choose a degree where you'll make money. Choose a degree where you'll have a career. And they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You have to miss out on NIL.
Here is, there's some good comments, I think.
Sorry, that makes me so angry.
No, I hear you. Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with anything you said. I wanted to bring one up that was...
like we mentioned, too, with them adding the 2 extra years to junior college, now high school kids are not going to be able to get scholarships out of... Unless you're just...
it's going to kill a lot of high school kids.
Yeah, the high school recruiting gone, because why?
Yeah.
Why not be like, we'll send you to JUCO, and then we'll offer you in 2 years if you show something.
Yeah.
And then you'll get 4 more years.
Yep.
It's just...
1982 Boomer Sooner said, spring game itself is pretty neat. I'm a season ticket holder, but I like to take my nephew and my sister with me to the game, and that one is pretty easy to get, and it's cheaper than a regular season game. That exactly, which it obviously still has its upside for sure.
Right.
And that a lot of people like it. I also like what Stan here said
a lot
about...
of families will take their young children, too, because, again, it's cheaper tickets. Should they have a total meltdown in the third quarter, you might, all right, we can go home. It's not a big deal. Versus if it was the Alabama game this year. Stan
says... so that's protectionism that players will see. They are limiting opportunities for their players. Players won't like that, and that could hurt recruiting. That's true. I mean, that's another side of that. That they're gonna have to deal with. I think if you're Matt Rule, I think sometimes you can reason with players. I think if you say, hey, look, we're investing a lot in your education, obviously, and then obviously they're really investing in them not leaving. But these are the realities. And you're upfront with them about it, then I think that you can maybe navigate that to where it doesn't have the negative effects that we would presume it does in terms of limiting opportunities. But I don't disagree with you at all. I think that is going to be a serious
right. And we're not saying we think that people should just up and start canceling spring games. We were just saying we had never even considered that as a possibility. But we can understand where it's coming from. Now, whether or not we think you should do it, no. But it just was just a point that we hadn't even considered as a consequence of NIL and tampering. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, truly. There are going to be some decisions that are made. And there's also, and this is kind of a deep conspiracy. I don't even know if conspiracy is the right word, but the OU Texas game at Dallas, I literally don't think it's crazy if that game's not an OU home and a Texas home game every other year from now on. I mean, within the next 3 to 4 years, if they're just going to take it out of Cotton Bowl, because they're going to be able to do concession revenue for the home team will get concession revenue, ticket revenue. They're going to get ticket revenue if they don't do splits. It'll be a bigger stadium. They'll do ticket revenue for the home team, assuming they don't do the 50-50 split, which I doubt they would. Yeah, there'd be no point at home. Yeah. But, that's going to be a big thing because, remember, they were supposed to do like almost $200 million of renovations that were supposed to be completed, I think, next year. And they haven't even started. Why? And there's contractual obligations you have to meet that are timelined for that stuff. And, I'm just saying, guys, don't think it's crazy that if you'd see OU Texas say, look, I'm sorry, but we need more money to keep up and compete and to get better players, and we're losing however much to pay rent. We're the only team that plays a game at that stadium. Mm-hmm. The Cotton Bowl's obviously played at Jerry World, who also knows something about blowing up a program. Not that, I'm saying OU Texas do, but, geez. I think you just mean like NIL blowing up programs. Thank you. I was wondering why I had that on my mind. What? But I'm just saying, don't be shocked when you start hearing rumors. Not you, but the people about hey, it's being talked about that OU Texas might be a home and home, because there's just literally other than tradition, which we already decided doesn't matter. It's secondary to money. You're not gonna if you're OU, why are you losing out on an extra $8 to $10 million a year in revenue that you could get from hosting the game? Mm-hmm. And also, you're going to boost the economy of your local stores. Mm-hmm. All the campus structure around is going to be boosted. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just it's going to be another effect. And when he's saying tradition doesn't matter, he doesn't mean to us. Yeah, no, it matters. Tradition matters to us a lot.
Yeah.
And we
Good save.
want to
Sorry.
have traditions. We want to have that same passion and energy. But when now we're seeing that it's all about love of the money, or you just have to have the money in order to continue tradition, that some things are going to have to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
you're right.
I don't like it. I
hate
wouldn't
it.
like it. I say we all have been there. I'm assuming most of us have been there at least once. It's an amazing experience, and there's truly nothing like it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised either. And
Because what else? What's the point? I mean, your two schools are paying for all the renovations there that are happening. You're paying for all the
that aren't
issues
happening?
that aren't happening. My bad. Yeah, and also that opens up better marketing TV deals because now you can play night games. Because I can tell you one thing, guarantee you that it'll never happen. They're never going to play a night game at downtown Dallas, for obvious reasons. They're just not. It's too dangerous to do that, especially after people have been drinking all day at the state fair. That's never going to happen. So now you've limited yourself to morning or mid-afternoon games. The SEC, obviously, their primetime game is it's marketed as 2:30. I've always liked the night games more. I think they're fun. Like they're just better environments, you know.
right, because people have been drinking all day, so
probably,
a little more wild.
Yeah, 100% right. Someone, why hasn't collective bargaining happened? Oh, sorry, it's in my mic. I just pulled a T.
Sorry.
Why hasn't collective bargaining happened yet? What needs to happen? Who was responsible for setting it up? They're going to be, there's a hearing on the House settlement. I believe it's April 7th. But there's already some Ivy League schools that are pulling out of the settlement. So that's going to become an issue for a lot of the House settlement. It's just, I mean,
Why the Ivies?
Probably because they don't like the idea that they're going to have to share revenue. And I don't, again, there's just effects on not only that, but just what they're going to have to comply with in their compliance offices. And, you know, the money they're going to have to start sharing and giving it. I don't know. It's just the effect of it is going to be.
I'm just really hoping you're going to say, because the nerds don't want to give to the sports.
Yeah. No, but seriously, though, they probably don't want to do the revenue share stuff.
Which fair. I get it.
But so that's going to have a whole other issue. If you want to collective bargaining, you're going to have them be almost. You're going to have them become employees so that they can negotiate with themselves, negotiate as a collective, well, that's what collective bargaining is. But they can get a players union that can then negotiate for them. That is
the more you talk about this, the more I'm just.
Yeah, it sucks. I think that's just the
annoying.
reality that we're going to have to.
And I hate it.
Yeah,
I can hate it,
but
I get it's the reality.
Sure.
It doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, for sure.
Doesn't mean I have to like it.
I hear you. I'm not a big fan of what's happening either, but let's see. Traditions, but also, I don't know why. Stan Murrah. My bad. I don't know why I said Steve there. You want traditions? Yeah.
Yay, from Stan.
Sorry. Should let you read more. My bad.
That's fine. Remember you said I couldn't, you barely made my reading comment. You said I could barely read, or, oh yeah, no, T can read. Last session.
Oh, yeah.
Last session. Sorry. I do speech, so I say sessions. Not the point. Let me read it. Yay. You want traditions, but you also want a championship team, and bigger revenues matter. And bigger revenues matter to have better NIL and better facilities, etc. Exactly.
Yep.
No, exactly right, Stan.
Yep.
But again, the fact that you potentially have to lose your traditions to obtain that just stinks.
Yeah, it does.
For lack of better words, it stinks.